In this video, I'm going to walk through 3 suggestions I have for anyone starting a new research project. 1, you should look for your articles. You should find your articles using Google Scholar. 2, finding articles isn't enough. You have to actually collect them in some way. I would recommend using a citation management software. I'm going to walk through Zotero in this video. There's others, EndNote, there's other options. And 3, you should work on building an annotated bibliography as you read through articles. So I'll walk through all 3 of those steps and show how they work together in building a new research project. So we begin at Google Scholar. Google Scholar is run by Google and is similar to the typical Google search engine, except it only looks for scholarly resources for whatever keywords you type in. You can be as broad or specific as you want, but when you search, it'll pull up lots of suggestions. If I was interested in researching, say, Airbnb regulations, I could type that into the search engine. Airbnb and regulations, except I don't actually need to put the and. So Airbnb regulations, and it's pulling up all of these articles that have those keywords in the titles and the abstract somewhere in the paper. And all of these are generally peer-reviewed or scholarly resources. And so it's bringing up everything I think is relevant. And I can take a look and look through all of these articles to try and get a better understanding of this topic. Google Scholar's search engine is a lot better than any libraries I've ever found in terms of bringing up the type of research that I want and just in terms of focusing on actually relevant information. But accessing this research is another matter then. Because now I see all these titles, all these papers that are relevant to what I'm searching for, Airbnb and regulations. But how do I actually find it? Journal articles are generally only available by subscription, and those subscriptions are typically held by the school's library. If I find an article that I want, I can copy the title and search that in my school library to see if they have access. That's one way to find the article. Google Scholar gives a few other ways, though. You can see these links here on the right, and these are links to copies of these articles that are available. And so if I open one of these links, it should take me to a full version of the paper that either the researcher has posted somewhere online or is available for free to anyone to read. And so Google Scholar gives you another way to find research. And at a school like the University of New Orleans and others, there might be limits on the number of journals that are actually available through the library. Okay, so I found articles that are interesting. I can open one of these up, and this is an article I wrote that I'm clicking on. I can look at the article, I can read the abstract, I can see that this is the type of research that I'm trying to look at or I'm trying to do something related to it. And so now what though? I could find a copy and download it into a folder on my computer, but that can get really cumbersome because as you're starting a new research project, you're probably having to flip through hundreds of different articles. What I'm going to do is I'm going to load it into a citation management software, specifically Zotero. There's a plugin on my browser right here, which says Save to Zotero. I'll open Zotero, and when I click Save to Zotero, it's copying the information from this article, the title, the author, the journal, when it was published, all of this information. And now I have it loaded into this separate piece of software. And what this does is it lets me search through a lot of information more quickly. I can quickly glance at articles on Google Scholar, figure out if it's relevant or not, and I can build up a large list of research that I may want to go back to later. As I'm starting a new project, I'm going to end up looking at hundreds of articles or flipping through, but I'm not going to want to read all of those. I'll read a very select few after I've gotten sort of the scope and the lay of everything that has been done. But I want to save all the information for later because I'm not entirely sure what's going to be the most relevant. And so if I wanted to download Zotero as a piece of software, it's available for free. You can click download and you can follow, I'm sure you can follow these steps on your own. I don't need to demonstrate that. One thing you'll want to make sure you do though is install the extension for whatever browser you use so that you can this button won't come automatically. You have to download that separately so that you can import articles directly from your web browser. And the other thing you'll want to do is make sure you have an extension for Word, because that makes it easy to cite the articles later. And so once I've found articles like this that are relevant and I'm starting to work on the project, I will want to start keeping a annotated bibliography. And so with an annotated bibliography, it's just a few sentences about different articles. Bibliography. And so I might start with this one about Airbnb regulations in New Orleans, and I would just sort of give myself a few bullet points about each article as I'm reading, if it sort of becomes clear that it's relevant or interesting. So I might say, studied Airbnb in New Orleans, found short-term effects, use data. I might write more if I was doing the annotated bibliography, not in a video for people to watch. But this sort of gives me an idea of what this article did. And then what I would want to do is I would go to my Zotero extension in Word, and I would click on Add Citation. And so I can select whatever citation style I want, APA, and I type in the author or the title of the article I want to use. And so it adds this citation to that article. And so now I know that this sentence, this summary, is tied to this article. And then if I add a bibliography to the paper, it adds a full citation, a full reference. And in this case, it's in APA. And as I'm sort of building out the information, this becomes really useful because it's Zotero building my reference list for me instead of me having to go back and add this later. So if I cite another paper with interesting information, and I can add a citation to it, you can see that the reference list is going to continuously update as I go. And so I don't know the specific requirements of APA. I don't know the specific requirements of MLA. I am entirely agnostic about that and teaching that because I think it's useless since there are softwares that can do it for you, and there is no reason for you to learn how to structure a reference list. And so hopefully you can see this is just a brief introduction to using Zotero, to using Google Scholar, to writing an annotated bibliography. But hopefully you see the sort of independent value in all of these, and also how in combination building out this sort of information and collecting it this way can help you down the road as you're working through a new research project.